Hello, everybody. Nice that you're here. Feels like a family retreat for me. So I see a lot of people I worked with the last couple of years, and nice to get to know a lot of new people joining the developer space of Cosmos SDK. Today we have some people who build wallets and libraries on the Cosmos ecosystem, and they all share some and discuss some ideas and methodologies around wallet development. Let's give it up for the panelists. Now we start with a short introduction round.
Yeah, my name is Jordan Sexton. I just joined the Cosmos SDK team, and I'm working on improving our efforts for JavaScript libraries and documentation of how to use the SDK both for Go developers and JavaScript developers and Rust developers and hopefully every other platform that we want to service.
I'm Chris, and I just recently also started with ImToken, which is a wallet, and we integrated Cosmos like 2 months ago when it started basically, and we focus on making it easy to use. You can basically stake in the debt and you can exchange Cosmos for like ETH for atoms. And yeah, I think we can bring some feedback from the end users in that discussion.
My name is Jordan also, and I'm working on Lunie.io, which is a staking wallet for Cosmos.
Cool. So first something, if you guys have questions, I'm also working on the Lunie team, worked a long time at AAV, the company who built the Cosmos SDK and the Cosmos Hub. If you guys have any questions, just raise your hands. I think we can and should make this an open round. So if there's something interesting the panelists are saying, just chime in. First question, Chris, you mentioned that you will bring a lot of feedback from the end users to this development space. What do you think, or what do you experience are the biggest challenges for users in this new staking space?
I think like the biggest challenge always is with how blockchain has to get into it first. Like you want to exchange fiat, even if you're a developer, if you're end user, investor, whatever, you want to buy some tokens, right? That's like the biggest hurdle because it takes some time, you need to do KYC and so on. Like just the onboarding thing. And then I think in terms of UX, we already figured out a lot of stuff, right? It just takes a few clicks if you have some token, ETH, whatever. It just takes a few clicks to actually stake your tokens. And then you invested sort of in it, and then that you want to learn about it and so on. And like the next stages come easily, I think. But yeah, what we do right now is to look into like the on-chain data and try to segment the users and try to see who's actually staking, right? Is it like people from the Cosmos team mainly? Is it like big whales? Is it like small users? Is it people who maybe see staking as an alternative to bank account already? Which is not the case, but could be in the future, right? So yeah, it's a lot about like experimentation and try to ask the right questions at first.
Can you share some of your insights about the customer segmentation you have on ImToken?
I mean, like most of the stakers are sort of the people where we know already is like from the Cosmos team or from like the core blockchain people. Yeah, like I don't want to name people, but yeah, and it's more whales than normal users, right? But then we try to run some incentives, like some small games where you can stake and then you win something, or whatever. And that works especially well in China because people are into this stuff. But yeah, we just try to figure it out. Right? And then I think I cannot share like a lot of like the specific data. But if you have questions like this, really valuable. I think like any questions about end users, about what is happening, who's that, where do the funds come from, just shoot them at us.
How do you approach the users of the new staking economy?
How do we approach them? Yeah, I think what you said is a big barrier is token holders. Like if you don't have staking tokens, then you can't participate, and it's hard to understand. It's really early, right? Like the network launched 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago. there's a lot of education to do. It's very different than, I'm not even totally comfortable calling Lunie a wallet because I think it, you know, it seems more transactional, and I think people think of crypto wallets as like similar to their bank apps, which is not really true. Like what we're seeing is a lot more participation, a lot more engagement, and so yeah, we're also doing a lot of learning and a lot of experimenting, trying to understand like how do people think about this really? Why are people here? Yeah.
Do we have a duty of educating the users the right way, and is there a danger of educating them the wrong way?
I mean, it's always these standard topics of security and like you shouldn't lose your key and so on. That's just some basics, but I think we get a lot of blog posts and videos about that. We also have to nudge the user into that direction, but I mean, until we don't have like technical solution for a nice multi-sig or whatsoever, then I think we've done a great job already.
Yeah. You have like we have all the usual crypto UX challenges that I think we experienced from Bitcoin wallets and Ethereum wallets, but then we have this added, like this really new interaction that, at least on the Cosmos Hub, is it's a very complex state machine with a lot of rules. Like I'm still learning about rules. I've been working on this software for 2 years, and like I'm still discovering new quirks of the system. So I think we've spent a lot of time. I mean, we hear this from users, like how many times can I redelegate? What happens when I redelegate? How long is the unbonding period? So, and what does that even mean? Like, this is like, there's so many layers of learning before you even understand like how this could impact you. And so you have all the usual crypto UX challenges, but then also like this very complex state machine that we're trying to teach people about so that they can make the right decisions.
There is a way to avoid this mental override to the user. Have you found a way to let the user act on his stakes without knowing all these details? This is a huge
I mean, initially we didn't communicate all of the rules. Like we don't tell everybody all of the rules. We try and tell you just the information you need to know when you're about to make a decision. So just a couple weeks ago we added a little warning. If you make a delegation, now it should say, just so you know, this is basically there are consequences to these actions. It's going to be locked up for 21 days in the system. But then there's always more. There's just like, for example, there's some rule I'm still trying to wrap my head around about the number of redelegations or the number of entries. Maybe you know more about this than I do. But like, we don't tell people that this rule matters unless it's going to affect them, right? So you don't get this warning if you're making a redelegation, but
After a while.
yeah, if you get up to 7, which I think is the limit, then we probably have to tell people like, hey, this is going to happen. So we're not our onboarding process doesn't involve like handing over a rule book and making sure you read it, right? But yeah, strategically informing users about what's happening at the right time is a lot of the design work that's happening now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going a little bit further on this, we have now wallets educating users, but going further, should wallets be opinionated about the network? One keyword here is helping with decentralization or validator sorting, for example.
I mean, what's the incentive for a wallet to do that? It's a different kind of business and different kind of things you have to learn for developers. And I mean, we could, but why should we? Right? I think it's more about working together with validators and then exchanging on it regularly and just working together with different projects, right? Like seeing blockchain as a one big project instead of everybody having his own logo and projects and like closed down small communities. So, doesn't really answer the question, but I think it's like, yeah, unnecessary.
Yeah.
I think maybe to Jordan's point too, it's already difficult to teach people all of the layers of the application just to satisfy some use case that they actually want to satisfy. And then if you have sort of like the use case of the chain that maybe they're uninterested in, that's an incredible burden to educate them on. And maybe serves a purpose totally different from what they see the use of the application to be.
But isn't there a danger, like that, for example, a wallet defines the rule of the economy of a blockchain and moves the chain in a certain direction? Like, let's say ImToken is classifying validators by yield, I think.
Yeah, that's the standard, I guess. But you can also change it, basically.
Sure, but like users tend to use the standard. So this is the first thing they see. So they will probably act on that value. So in that moment, you define what the one metric is that users should optimize for. Is that dangerous?
I think, like, to what do you want to compare it to, like, centralized system? I think it's always the case that you have to decide on, and it's just a UI feature, or like, is there a better system, like a better approach? I don't know. Maybe like a DAO, and then people can decide what should be the standard.
Yeah, it's really difficult. The different user segments care about different things. You have certainly users that are, and we're still figuring out like what the makeup of the user pool is. But you have users that see this as a understand it, see it as a some way for their wealth to grow because they understand that they earn rewards from delegating. So then they want to see the yield. But you also have a lot of users that like deeply care about this network working. They care about decentralization. So it's a different. They're more interested in participating in the community or like interacting with the infrastructure in this new interaction. So they're maybe less concerned about the yield, and they would be happy to accept a lower yield, but if it meant like some if it made them feel better about their involvement. So it's hard to pick one. I mean, we're struggling with this now. We don't know what the right thing to show is. It's hard to know. Yeah.
Is a different way to answer this question is what has been the historical business model for a wallet and what might be new business models for staking?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good question.
For wallets, I mean, we are just VC funded, right? And we are wallets who have a token, but I don't think it's like business model for a wallet. And then what we do basically is take some fees from our DEX, and that's about it. And then we do some business partnerships. You can also have like small advertisement, but it's just like a Web2 business model. It's nothing new, right? And then for staking, the same right now. Like we can take a small fee, but it's like the long term doesn't really make sense. And I don't know. Like if somebody has an answer, then I don't know.
Idea. Because I was thinking about the validator and the pound and the staking strategy. But what about if we decide that we know that no one goes, for example, page won't go, really few people will go there, right? So if you have like all the validators in the first page, you can assume that most of the people will always delegate there, right? That can be like a strategy to offer validators the opportunity to scale up your visualization. So more people will delegate there.
Sure.
Just like advertisement, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Just random idea.
What about introducing like premium features to like based on validation to a specific validator, or like doing partnership directly with validator communities?
As in, you learn that somebody stakes a lot, and then he gets different features for that.
No, I mean like you roll out like premium features like analytics for like funds, like investors, whatever. If I don't know, they validate to a specific validator. You can already knew that from like previous. Just
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, they're good suggestions. They're good ideas. I mean, we think we at Lunie we have the advantage of it's a double-edged sword. We have this disadvantage. We haven't been a wallet on other networks before. We don't. All of our users are new users, and we don't support other tokens right now, right? But the advantage that I think that the advantage that we have, and what I'm excited about, I think what we're excited about is, exploring the new opportunities. Like we see there's more engagement. We see that. If you guys saw Ethan's talk, this is not a user interacting with a miner. This is like there's an active community here, right? The validator set is changing. The validator set is made up of people or companies, and then you have users that are doing research on these validators and making relationships in the real world with these validators. So I think kind of what I said earlier, like I'm not sure yet if we should be calling what we're building at least a wallet, because I think there's like we're thinking about like how staking impacts a community, what the community wants. It's a bit of a different angle. So the business models, I don't know. We don't know yet, but it's we see a lot of opportunities. Yeah, that maybe conventional wallets don't have.
How do you verify what your users want? Do you do like feedback loops with them? Most of the people want to stay anonymous. They don't want to really talk to you. And the tech people go to GitHub and open an issue, but that's not the regular user, right? So have you figured out something there, or how do you do it?
I mean, to me, we haven't encountered people not willing to talk to us yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if anonymity is a high priority for our users yet. We haven't heard from the ones who want to be anonymous. We're hearing a lot from people that don't seem to care. We get a ton of feedback. We're constantly speaking to users. So I think we're applying fairly conventional, user research methodologies, and we haven't hit a wall yet where we don't have enough feedback because of anonymity. But yeah, that could be an issue in the future. Yeah.
Did you ever consider taking a very tiny fraction as a fee for transactions?
Mm-hmm.
I would happily pay a very tiny fraction just to support you.
Yeah, I think to what Chris said, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not clear yet if that's like a viable business, like if it's enough. We have early data on how many transactions people are making. I guess in like a conventional wallet, it feels kind of like just sending to a friend. I think people don't really want to pay for that, but I think this is a new interaction model. So I do think there are opportunities like that. We're definitely exploring them, but it's not clear yet if that's viable for us. Yeah.
It's more related about security. Which things do you think you can get into a common ground, like practices in terms of security and like standards across like the industry, especially in proof of stake, like wallet development with other wallets? For example, the Cosmostation has like this. They randomize the numbers from the when you tap your PIN, so you can actually write down your pattern. This is like an example, particular. Are there any features that you think you like collaborate on in terms of security?
Could we create libraries who are shared across the ecosystem for different wallet developers to create a common security standard, for example?
I hope so. I think that, I guess I would turn that around a little bit and try to understand how they're approaching security now in a way that is substantially different from each other. And maybe it seems like they have already arrived at some of the same methods that come from previous wallet designs, and I don't know if there are special considerations for staking wallets in terms of the security options that are presented to a user. In what ways those exist, I think they should be standardized. And they should be open to audits, and then further, like that prevents individual companies from having to have security audits done on that aspect of their stack. But yeah, I think not necessarily like official libraries, but there should be libraries that people use for those purposes that I think standardize the core features.
What about I don't remember the secure ECMAScript? It's the subset of ECMAScript that's frozen. What about using this to be sure that at least packages can be malicious in the distribution?
But it does need some adoption first, right? So people have to use it and upload their instead of npm. Is that the case?
This is what the what's the name of the company? Agoric. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, I think
you can say something about it.
I'm brand new at Agoric, so
I think it's incredibly interesting. I think that I can only speak for JavaScript, but it's long been recognized that the ease of package management in JavaScript and the ease of ability to just acquire code that executes with arbitrary permissions in people's browsers and servers or whatever is a problem, and it's a hard problem to solve. I think that the Agoric guys are doing really interesting stuff in that. I think that one of the interesting ways that they're approaching adoption with that in being able to define more strictly what a dependency you load is able to do is that maybe in the long term there is a general knowledge about what packages will be capable of using this secure subset. And then I think also we're starting to see whether we'll be able to extend that, whether we'll be able to layer TypeScript on top of it. I think that those things will be really interesting and are just starting to take place.
So knowing about the secure libraries, creating standards, using like proper object isolation even in JavaScript, and to sharing this, do you guys think that wallets should be open source or closed source? I think ImToken is closed source, open source.
Like the core, like the key management is open source, of course, because it's just a security topic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would you trust us?
Yeah.
But then, if we would open source the front end UI, then tomorrow there would be like 100 Chinese clones.
Yeah.
I think it's special to China because you don't have like one app store, but people are used to download the APK from some websites and don't re-verify it's like the original one, whatever. So basically there would be 100 scams saying they're ImToken and they just take your private key or whatever, or like take small fee for transactions. I don't know. So it's like, of course you should open source the core library. Yeah.
Do you have another?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to know. So, yeah, you have the opportunity for phishing scams is super easy if you have an open source front end. Yeah, it's a tough balance. I don't have a lot to say about it. Yeah.
But also for the question before, I think it should be open source because just then you can look into it and you know which approach to any like small problem, like the package manager or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you know and can verify that okay, they actually found a solution to the problem, right? And then once you found it, then everybody can use that.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, like, I think my question, like, I'm okay with like wallets being closed source or open source if they choose, but like I think like in terms of security practices, it should be like pretty much open source in order to like have like a common ground of those practices, as I said before. So like maybe it's like a thing of me. Like I would really want like especially in Cosmos ecosystems to collaborate on that side, because like if there's one single wallet that like gets hacked or whatever, the whole project gets the bad reputation. Because like people still don't realize that like, oh, the protocol is safe versus like, oh, like Cosmos got hacked, which is not really the case. So it'd be cool to have like some common ground on that. It's like for the well-being of the ecosystem. So I don't know what do you guys think on that?
I think it's an interesting interplay on what Fabo was talking about, in the sense that if you have wallets, maybe you have users of these that may be interested in supporting the chains, but insofar as the wallets are participants in the ecosystem, to your point, if they get hacked, they can also poison the well for the ecosystem. So even if individual users aren't thinking of that, it's important for wallets to think of the role that they have in the ecosystem accordingly.
I want to investigate a little bit more on this topic. We had fees already, like charging a fee from the wallet. We have now, like, wallets need to be careful because if something happens to the wallet, they poison the ecosystem. So should maybe wallets be better integrated into the protocol itself, because they play a key role. I write a wallet, so I'm opinionated here. But is it? I think they play a key role, like the validators or the delegators themselves in the whole ecosystem. Should they be integrated in the protocol, for example?
I agree with you that they play a key role. I think that they're the most user-facing software that the ecosystem has. I don't know what that means as far as integration into the protocol, and I think that would be a conversation that would be put forth by developers of all the wallets of how they would like that to take place. But I think it is important.
Definitely there should be like a monoculture, whatever, like one set wallet, because there should be experimentation. Like you have a web wallet, we have a Android, iOS, and so on. You just want to have like A/B testing and then see what's best in the end, or like best for different users. But of course there should be like a constant conversation between us and Cosmos and like all levels, right? So integration, but between those two projects, or between all of us.
Yeah, there's been some conversation about a governance proposal to enable clients to act more, to earn rewards in a similar way that validators would, because it's like, in my view at least, it's a utility. It's like it's a key part of interacting with the system, and
sorry about that. I didn't realize.
Late to the party.
I was waiting for that other talk to like end. So
Sorry. No.
Sorry about that.
Please continue.
Yeah, I think it seems like there is room for that on the hub, and maybe there'll be a proposal about that soon. I think it would be an amazing step forward for like a kind of native integration, not to breed. Not to encourage one wallet to win, but these wallets provide a lot of value. So yeah, some kind of native integration could be pretty awesome.
So, hi David.
Hi,
Could you
nice to meet you.
quickly introduce yourself?
So I'm from Cosmostation, and my name is David, in charge of marketing. We're a Cosmos validator, and we also have, on top of that, we also have a mobile wallet, iOS and Android, and web wallet. That's about it.
If you would do this all again, knowing what you know now, what would you do different from the beginning?
One of our biggest challenges was to make an easy enough user experience while not leaving out any of the important features of the Cosmos SDK, like changing your reward destination address, or reinvesting, which is putting claim rewards and staking in one transaction. I think ImToken has that too. And yeah, so we've been working on putting those kind of features in our wallet seamlessly as best as we can. And I think, like, you were talking about exchanges. Recently we tried out changing our reward destination address and then claiming it to an exchange address, and then they couldn't really, they couldn't properly show the balance of our address. So we were talking to the exchange and they were like, we're not planning on adding that feature anytime soon. So we kind of hope that exchanges get more aware of stuff like that, so we can use features like that.
Yeah, similar to what I was saying before, it's a very complex state machine. So thinking through the design problems, and I guess this isn't really well, it's kind of a development issue. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of transaction types. There's a lot of interactions available. So yeah, that's a challenge, but it's also, you know, why. I mean, I think a lot of it's necessary to make this system work. So yeah.
I'm working sort of on the product side, and I asked our developer team if they have feature requests, right? And there was more the tone of we're just looking forward to what is coming from Cosmos. And I think we should approach it the other way around, that we want to offer as a wallet to just test different features on like a UI level or so on, and just test ideas with our users, test it with different users, and then just give the feedback to you guys when we know that we definitely need that feature on like a core level.
Yeah, that's super important to me. This is my first blockchain company, and I don't have strong opinions about what we're supposed to build. My job is to listen to you guys who've been building things on this platform and try to figure out what the common threads of those things are and figure out how we can answer some of those questions, ultimately make things easier. I think that probably because you guys are early adopters of this, you've had to build a lot of the scaffolding, and probably there's a lot of duplication of work across all the companies that are doing that. And I think as we can figure out what those things are, and to your point, Chris, I think you communicate those things up, then I can take that to the SDK team and I can argue for those things, either parts of the SDK or libraries that we build around it.
Cool. One of my last questions. What are innovations in the wallet space and UX around integrating with these distributed systems that you are looking forward to?
Well, for the
No, go ahead.
for the case of Cosmos, we're waiting for IBC to become a reality, and I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I feel like connecting all these different blockchains within the wallet and then making that a seamless user experience, I think that's a very important thing to think about when designing wallets. And also, we're thinking of integrating things like Wallet Connect and IOV for an easier address structure. So yeah, there's a lot of ways we could make our wallets better, and we're just looking into different options.
Yeah, I don't remember the question exactly, but I think I have an answer. Tell me if I'm way off. Okay, so we're building a wallet right now. Lunie's just supports the Cosmos Hub, but over time we'll add support for other Cosmos based chains. And this is like a whole new world of user experience. Like staking on its own is a very exciting and quite novel interaction model. And thinking about how to do this across chains, how to show a portfolio for a user across stake, with different staking assets, is going to be like it's a whole new world of user experience. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, there's like we have to. When I talk to people, I talk to other developers, projects. It's like we're still like teaching people about like this multi-chain world, right? Like This is not, everything doesn't happen in the same place. There's going to be different addresses that the same users have. There's going to be validators. There's already validators on multiple chains. So the relationship between these entities across the ecosystem is an exciting area of UX work.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like 3 things, sort of, right? Just integrating the stuff where we know it's working, like Wallet Connect, then waiting for IBC, I guess, and then just like the experimenting, I guess, like with new stuff and then giving feedback and so on. And yeah, I just have one example maybe where we want IBC because we have ETH and Bitcoin and EOS and Cosmos, and users want to exchange tokens between those exchanges, right? So we basically just built a small non-custodial thing on 0x where you can exchange ETH for Atom, but it just works one way, and yeah. But it's about just experimenting and getting feedback and see if it works, if there's some security issues, UX issues, and so on.
Cool. Any more questions?
The whole dev team of the SDK and Cosmos is here, so I know you guys are pretty active in GitHub and like give us a lot of feedback. But like, it would be cool if you could like quickly, if you have any concerns or like feedback you could give us, or how to improve our, I don't know, client-side libraries or like API calls, like things that don't break. I don't know. How can we improve you guys to like make your life easier?
For me, I'm not a developer, so I think our CTO is back there, so he would give you some feedback after his talk.
Yeah, same for me. Let's just open a chat, I guess, with the developers, and then we see.
No comment.
Final question?
Yeah, final question, because in theory we are out of time, but let's extend 5 minutes, we start a little bit later. Competition versus collaboration between wallets is a thing. So also to answer the protocolization of the communication between the client and the backend, basically, that's the case, right? So currently, you feel like you are competing each other or cooperating each other? Wallet between wallet.
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely feel like we're competing. But
you feel like that if we competing regarding some part.
Yeah.
Cooperating maybe on.
Yeah, I mean.
Collaboration.
Yeah. So right now there's a small, it's not an enormous user base, right? So there's a certain number of token holders, of Atom holders. It's not very big. It's growing. And over time, more and more people will become interested in staking and start looking into the options. So I think there is a competition, but I think it's clear. Maybe it's too early to say, but it seems obvious to me that this is not like a winner-take-all situation. There are going to be tons of wallets. There's already, 10, 12 that support Atoms in some way. But it's a complex state machine, and there's a lot going on. And as IBC comes out and new chains start showing up on Cosmos, there's going to be, I think, all of them will end up taking different, like a little bit of a different direction. Like, some will have support. It'll be impossible to keep up with everything. So, as wallet developers, wallet providers, we have to think about, what is it that our users want? What is the niche that we can occupy? Which chains do we add support for? What area of, we have wallet functionality, staking, and governance, and block explorers. Like a lot of these projects, it's like that's a lot of stuff, and so there's a lot of room for competition.
Okay, cool. Then I enjoyed this very much. Give it a round of applause.